and all praise to the Most High Yahuwah Alua, and unto our done and Savior Yahushua Mashiach. And welcome for another episode on Yashara Discovery Channel. Today, I'll be responding to a video made by a man named TruthUnveiled777. And this video is called The Truth About Homosexuality. So I've already made a video about this teacher in the past, for those of you that's been following my YouTube channel for a long time. So I think that some of you already know my stance about what he teaches. By this time, he's claiming that some way, somehow, the most out of the Bible is okay with homosexuality, and he uses the scriptures to do so. Now, we're going to examine that because we need to prove all things. It might be obvious for some of you, or may not be obvious for some of you. But we're going to dip into the scriptures and see what the scripture says exactly about this issue. Now, I'd like to say, if you happen to be or LGBT, calling yourself a queer person, or homosexual or whatever, this video is not necessarily an attack on you. It's just to show you the position that the Bible takes, that the scripture takes, when we talk about same-sex attraction. And I'm pleading with you to be tolerant and watch this video, as you want people to be tolerant and accept you as a person, or for your choice, or for what you believe to be your entire being, you know. So I'm pleading with anybody for that matter, that is the viewer, to watch this video to the end. And to remember that sin is sin. You cannot change what sin is. If the word of the Most High said that something is sin, it is sin. And also, all sins are sins. So there's not one sin that is bigger than the other. You can sin by ignorance, but if you do know what you're doing, then it's no longer a sin of ignorance. But when we're talking about sin, sin is sin. So if you want to speak to somebody like me, I don't grant a pass for somebody that's thief, and don't grant a pass for somebody that's attracted to the same sex. Sin is sin, and it's the same response to both things. So what I'm further to do, let's get into it. For the first part of this lesson, we'll be talking about the creation's purpose. So for those of you that follow me, you know I like to talk about the character of the Most High, which has been revealed throughout the scriptures. I mean, the little bit that we have, that's what we're reckoning with. And repeatedly we're being told that the Most High is all righteous, that He is all just, merciful, and He's a God of order, the Elohim of order. So if He's a God Elohim of order, when He made things, they must have an order as well. They must have a purpose, a function. And that's what we're going to study right now. And let's go to Genesis, or Bereshit, chapter 1, verse 11 through 12 to start with. And Allah said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind." It's important right here. "Whose seed is in itself upon the earth," and it was so. So right there, we're seeing that the Most High made what? The plant's kingdom to be after their own kind, basically. So what is after his kind? What does this mean? I'll go over it in a minute. Verse 12. "And the earth brought forth grass and herb, yielding seed after his kind." Once again, they're repeating. "And the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And Allah saw that it was good." It's very important right here, this after his kind. And also that we saw that the Most High said that it is good. So the creator of the universe, the creator of earth, is saying that when He's done this thing, it is good. So the plant kingdom, they after their own kind, that's a good thing. Meaning it's completed. Don't add to it. Yeah? Let's continue. We want Genesis chapter 1 and 1 verse 21 to 22. And the Lord created the great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind. So once again, this after this kind thing. And every winged fowl after his kind. And the Lord saw that it was good. So now, we're being told that the Most High creates the sea creatures and the fowls of the air, everything that's got like, wings and all that. So we can conclude that we're talking about the birds and the insects. Some of them. Yeah. And he says that it's good. But once again, he's stressing on the what? After his kind. Now, after his kind thing is extremely scientific. Because this is what we experiencing on a day-to-day basis. And in our reality that we're living in. We see things that are the same type, bringing life forth, if it makes sense. Meaning, you only see dogs giving birth to puppies and stuff like that. Yeah? You never see a dog giving birth to a cat. Or a dog giving birth to a baby giraffe or whatever. You only see things reproducing themselves with their own kind. Same thing with mankind. I've never seen a human giving birth to a horse. No. And it's called the law of biogenesis. You don't see basically a mango on a coconut tree. No. Or a banana on an apple tree. Does that make sense? Because these things are after their own kind. They reproduce or multiply after their own kind. Just like the scripture says. But if I can add, I know it's off topic. Science is trying to make you believe that, life comes from non-life. And at some point, something that is not that thing gave birth to that thing. Because, mainstream science trying to make you believe that you come from basically a rock. Or you was a reptile, and then after being a reptile, you become a bird, and after being a bird, you become whatever we are now. You was a monkey and all that stuff, which is not possible scientifically. But I digress. But that's what I'm trying to make you understand. So basically, when you say after his kind, it's talking about being the same type and being able to bring forth life because you're the same type. And I hope it makes sense. So let's go to verse 22. And the Lord blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the sea, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. So you see, now that you made according to your kind, you blessed and you can go multiply. Now how do you multiply? By making babies. How to make babies? You need the female and the male, or the male and female. There's no other way. Now that's the blessing that the Most High gave to all his creation there. That they, according to their kind, they multiply, female and male, and they fill the earth. This is the ultimate blessing that the Most High gave to his creation, y'all. So now if you were to change it, what will happen? What will happen? Remember, multiplying is bringing forth life, basically. Giving birth to babies or whatever is bringing forth life. And I'd like to add, who we serving? A living God, a living Elohim. So, if we're going against bringing forth life, what are we doing? Bringing forth death. What I'm trying to say is that If we're going against the model that the Most High gave us, and we say, no, we don't want things to be, able to reproduce after their own kind and all that stuff, then we're bringing forth death and not life. But we're serving the living God that wants things to live, not to die. And that's the purpose for which He made things to be, to live. So the minute that we change in it, it becomes dysfunctional, i.e., it dies. And as believers of the Most High, as servants of the Most High, we are for life to go forth. Make sense? Okay, I just wanted to point that out. Let's continue. 25 now. And Allah made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the camels after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And Allah saw that it was good. So you see, once again, even the lands, animals, and all that stuff, able to be or reproduce after their kind. And I know you get it. It's the same thing for mankind as well. Yeah? Like I said. So who are we to change it? Let us go all the way to verse 27. And Allah said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. So this thing now is special. This made in the image of Yah. We didn't hear anything else like that with the plant kingdoms, the land animals, and sea creatures. Only thing we heard was that they after their own kind. Not that they made it in the image of Yah. But let me continue. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowls of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So this special thing now, mankind, is made in the image of the Creator itself. And for that matter, when you see the hour, it's also these other, spiritual beings up there in heaven, or we call them angels by default. But that's another video I made if you want to go and check it out. Alrighty. Let's continue to verse 27 now. And Allah created man in his own image. In the image of Allah created he him. And check this out now. Male and female created he them. Yeah? So things that the Most High created, they after their own kind. They're male and female. And then they can reproduce and fill the earth. And that's the blessing. Very simple. That's the purpose of which they've been made. To bring forth life. Not for them to be alone and die alone. Or not for them to, be male and male. Or to be female and female. But for them to be able to bring forth life. So after their kind. And being in pairs of a male and a female. Literally. That is not rocket science that I just read to you. But if you're going against it, now you're not saying that the Most High's creation is nonsensical. Or you're going against the Most High's creation. The laws that He created. And that's why it becomes enmity. We have a problem then. But I digress. Genesis chapter 1, verse 31 now. And Allah saw that everything. How much is everything? All. Okay. Everything that He had made. And behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So we know that the Most High made the earth, or the world and every creation in 6 days, right? So right here, it's finished. After no longer, we don't create nothing else. And it says that everything He made is good. So if He made it one way, which is you after your own kind, male and female, you go, you multiply, you bring forth life, then we can't change it. If we changing it, we're going against their intended purposes. Does that make sense? Alright. Let's jump. We want Genesis. We want chapter 2. We want verse 18 through 20. And Yahuwah said, "It is not good that a man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him." So now we're told that there's a special being that's going to be made for the man. So if we put in the pieces of the puzzle together, things after their own kind, male and female, and then it can be blessed and multiply and reproduce. Now we're told that it's not good for men to be alone. So for men to be able to do the purpose for which he's been made for, he needs to not be alone. He needs to have an helpmate. Let us continue. Verse 19. And out of the ground Yahuwah formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see why he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living thing, creature, that was the name thereof. 20. And Adam gave name to all cattle, and to all fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him. So, if we think critically when we're reading this passage, we understand that everything else had their helpmeet. Yeah. Every beast of the field, every fowl of the air and all that stuff, they had their, pairs, male and female. And at this point, Adam is alone. And we've just been told that it's not good for Adam to be alone. Let's jump from verse 21 to 24. Still in Genesis chapter 2. And Yahuwah, Allah, caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept. And he took one rib, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahuwah Allah had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. So right there, the Most High made an entire being for a specific reason. It's for men to not be alone. So your companion, as a man, is a woman, nothing else. That's literally the purpose for which a woman is being made. For men to not be alone. So, when you feel lonely, you're supposed to have your woman. According to the scriptures. You cannot have your man. Or if you're a woman, you cannot have a woman. It's not the purpose for which you made for. Man or woman. Your purpose is to be with the opposite sex. Literally. The Most High literally made an entire being for the man. So who are we to want to change it? I'm talking about people that believe in the scriptures. If you don't believe in the scriptures, then I don't even know why you're watching this video in the first place. But in the realm of believers, this is a beautiful thing right here. As a man, we should be, happy, content that an entire being is being made for your service. And when I'm saying service, I'm not talking about slavery. I'm talking about, service, not be alone. Come on. Psychopath out there and then the feminists and all that stuff. No, it's not what I'm trying to say. Anyway. And same thing for you, the woman. You should be happy that you've been made to serve a purpose. You have an important role. Is to help the man. So without you, the female, the man is not complete. It's incomplete. And vice versa anyway. So that's the purpose of which mankind is created. To be with a male and a female. Nothing else. So anything contrary to that, is what? Bringing death once again. So that's the paradigm that the scriptures is teaching us. And from what we understand then, is that your sexuality has a purpose. Because, after your own kind, it means that when you reproduce that way. So your sexuality has a purpose. And as a man, your sexuality is to be with a woman. And vice versa. As a woman, your sexuality is made to be with a man. Nothing else. That's the way that the Most High created us. Our sexuality has a purpose. Now if you do anything contrary to this, then you're going against the purpose for which the Most High created you. And if there was no God, then there will be no such thing accountable for this. You can have sex with your golden retriever if you want to, your Doberman or your cow. But the Most High laid the laws about Genesis from the beginning, saying that things reproduce according to their own kind, and this male and female. And there's an entire being that is specifically made for the man. A special gift to the man. Why would I want you to go against it? If you're a believer. Let us continue. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of men." She's a part of men. There's this funny thing that some Jamaican woman that used to work with me said one time. It was funny, and she was like, "Well, God not created Adam and Steve, He created Adam and Eve." And this is common sense, y'all. I'm sorry. This is common sense. Let's continue. "Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife." He didn't say unto his husband. The man leaves unto his wife. "And shall be one flesh." The laws of marriage are right there. And another thing, this is the first R&B song. Yes, y'all. Grandpa Adam. First R&B song right here. Come on, y'all. You must have seen even be like, "Damn, she at 10. You know what I'm saying? First R&B song ever. Yeah. You must have been grabbing the hair and all that. People say that, just for the ad, people say that nowadays R&B ain't what it used to be. Because, niggas ain't grabbing the hair no more. So I'm sure Adam was grabbing the hair when he was saying all that. But let's get serious again, This is the creation's purpose right here. For a man to be with a woman. For a woman to be with a man. Not anything else. We're not mentioned. There's no mention of anything else in our scriptures. So the creation purpose and even our sexuality's purpose is that marriage. On top of it. Because I'm not seeing anything else. I'm seeing somebody who's supposed to leave his mom and dad and cleave to his wife. And there shall be one flesh. So if you go against it, you enemy with the Creator. Because you're trying to say that the laws that He gave, they're not good enough. So you know better than the Creator if you try to go against it. And I hope you're not. So this man, when is he talking about, people can be attracted to the same sex or whatever, that's not true. That's not scriptural. That's not biblical. Because there's a purpose for our sexuality. It's for us to be one with another. As male and female. And then we can bring forth life. Yeah, sometimes there's exception. There's women that cannot, give birth, or there's men that, can't shoot at all, you know what I'm saying? But still, The purpose is the same. For you to not be alone. For us to be a couple. Men and women together. And I'm afraid if you don't like this, you can just leave the scriptures. It's fine. But I digress. And in case anybody is trying to hit me with that, oh yeah, but some animals are homosexual sometimes or whatever. When it comes to scriptures, you are not made like the animals. You made in the image of the Most High, so you have a conscience. You know right from wrong. Animals do not have a conscience. They're not accountable for these kind of things. That's one. Two, it's a fallen world. When sin entered the world, after what Adam and Eve did, then it became chaotic. So yes, some anomalies happen. It's normal. But I'll say some animals also eat their babies. They eat their poo. You know what I'm saying? They kill for no reason sometimes. Their children and stuff like that. So does that mean that because they have such behavior, we should do the same thing? I mean, yeah, some people do that, kill their children and all that stuff. But I'm saying as a normal thing, because your argument could have been that oh yeah, some animals have homosexual behavior, so why complain if they made it, according to their own kind or whatever. No, it's not a good argument, to be honest, especially when it comes to the scripture paradigm. So just wanted to point that out there in case people wanted to use. Let us continue. We want to see from the New Testament some perspective, and we want Jesus' perspective, or Yahushua's perspective. Yeah? And look what he says. Same thing as we just read. We want Marcus chapter 10, verse 5 through 9. And we read. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, for the hardness of your heart, he wrote you this precept. So basically, the Pharisees and Yahushua were discussing divorce. And his response is, it shouldn't be basically divorce. It's because you guys are evil, So obviously, Moses had to give you this precept. Let's continue, verse 6. But from the beginning of creation, Allah made them male and female. So once again, it's going back to Torah and saying that, you see, from the beginning, they're male and female. That's their function. Okay, let's continue. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. You see, he's even using Adam's R&B song. You know what I'm saying? Continue, verse 8. And they twain shall be one flesh. So then they are no more twain, but one flesh. So once again, it continues. You remember when Adam said, bone of my bone and all that stuff? Right. It's continuing with that song, poem, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it the Arabic song. 9. What therefore Allah hath joined together, let no man put asunder. So the Most High made this to be law, and he's saying that nobody can break it. Yes, you can go against it if you wanna. Just like TruthUnveiled, you trying to make people believe that somehow homosexuality is good, but Yahushua is not with you right here. He's saying that what it's supposed to be is male and female, and that the value of marriage is extremely important, to the point that he says that no man can break it. So here we go. So what they ask people, Jesus is not with homosexuality. I'm afraid. That doesn't mean that he would not forgive you if you done it, but he is not with it. Same thing with the Most High, because anyway, Yahushua is Yahuwah. Those of you who don't like it, you can unsubscribe to my channel. But, same difference. The Most High is not with such behavior, because the purpose was for them to be male and female. The female is made for men to not be alone. We're told. Her function is that. So, why would the man need anything else than the female? No. Let's continue now. Let's see the purpose. And when I'm saying purpose, I'm saying, let's see that the Most High did made everything for a purpose. Let's confirm it with the script. Mishlei, or Proverbs chapter 16 verse 4. Yahuwah hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the days of evil. So everything has reason. Everything is made for a reason. Everything that we see and happen has a reason. There's a purpose behind it. And when I say everything, I'm talking about everything. Literally. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1. To everything is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So you see, they are consistent. Isaiah chapter 45 verse 18. Or Yeshayahu chapter 45 verse 18. For thus saith Yahuwah that created the heavens, Elohim himself that formed the earth and made it. He hath established it. He created it not in vain. So it has a purpose. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Yahuwah, and there's none else. So the same way that the earth is being formed to be inhabited, yeah, is the same way that sexuality has a purpose. For it to what? To be a male and a female. Not anything else. And that there's a value of marriage at the end of the tunnel. This is the purpose of your sexuality. I'm afraid. According to the Bible, this is what they're teaching. Now, if you're not happy with it, or if you think it's wrong, then feel free to think that it's wrong. But that does not change the core value that we have in our scriptures. I can agree to disagree on that with you if you want to. If you happen to be LGBT or whatever watching this video. But the proof is there. And it is what it is. So now let's jump to the second part of the video. So, second part now, we're talking about the reasons why same-sex relationship is a sin. And we already covered that from the creation's purpose point of view. There is a function, a purpose itself for our sexuality. There's a reason for it. And it's what? To be male and female and to be able to reproduce, multiply, and be able to be after our own kinds. Yeah? So now, let us expand on the reason why it is a sin. Because it's explained in scriptures. But I just want to define what sin is, so we're not confused, because, because of Christianity, people just think that sin is some sort of next stuff. But sin is what it is according to the Bible. Alright, so when Jacob or James chapter 4 verse 17, and we read, Therefore to him that knoweth to do good, and doeth it not, to him it is sin. So if your conscience is telling you that something is not right, but you're still doing that thing, then you already know, and that is sin as well. More so than just breaking the law of the Most High. Let's continue. 1 John chapter 3 verse 4 through 5. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for the sin is the transgression of the law. 5. And ye know that he was manifested to take away our sins, and in him is no sin. Talking about Jesus. Or Yahusha. So basically, what we're talking about is this. I want to concentrate in is that the sin is basically breaking the laws, the commandments of the Most High, the decree of the Most High. So we read in Genesis, the Most High said, when he made things to be according to their own kind, and they male and female, and that they need to multiply. This is his word. This is his decree. So now if we're doing against it, or we're doing things against it, then it is sin. Because we're going against what the Most High said, which is basically law. Everything the Most High says is law, commandments. It is. Because he is the Most High, the Father, the one in charge. So everything he says is strictly a commandment. It got to be done. Makes sense? So if we're going against it, then it is sin. We're disobeying. But let me continue and let us get a concrete evidence of what sin is. Daniel chapter 9 verse 11. Yeah, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing. That's interesting, departing. That they might not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Musha, the servant of Allah, because we have sinned against him. So, transgressing the laws we saw resulted in sin against the Most High. So do not let anybody tell you that sin is something else. Sin is breaking the law or the commandments of the Most High. Yeah? Let us confirm once again. We want Roman or Romahim chapter 7 verse 7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Yah forbid. Nay, or no. I had not known sin but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law said, thou shalt not covet. So he's saying that because of the law, he knows what sin is. So by default, the law is what points out to sin. And we just read before that sin is breaking that law. So for you Christians out there telling people that they shouldn't keep the laws, you don't know what you're saying. And you're the reason why people can come up with this nonsense talking about homosexuality is okay in the Bible. Very simple. But anyway, let's continue. And we're going to see the literal definition of what sin is in the language. When you're examining the definition of sin in Hebrew, one will realize that there's an interesting concept to it. And the Hebrew word basically for sin is chata, right? And we can see right here it means to miss or to sin, basically. Yeah, and we can check the biblical usage. To miss, to sin, to miss the goal or path of right and duty. So that's an interesting concept that you're going to see when it comes to sin in Hebrew. Now, when it comes to the Torah in Hebrew, which is, instructions or the law, of Moses, the instruction, the law, and all that stuff, his root right here, H3384, is Yara. And if you check the meaning of Yara, it means to shoot, to throw in the direction of. As an archer, look, to throw, to shoot, to cast, to shoot arrows. For Yara, which is the root word for Torah. So one needs to understand, after searching and understanding the definition of sin in the Hebrew and the meaning also of Torah in its original concept, one puts together everything and comes to the conclusion that sin means to miss the goal, and Torah means to aim at or shoot at or in the direction of. And then when we do the Torah, when we keep the commandments and the law of the Most High, we aim closer to the Most High. But when we sin, we're missing the mark or the intended purposes. Does that make sense? So, here we go. What does that have to do with what we're talking about today? Well, if the intended purposes is to be male and female and to reproduce and bring forth life, then when we do contrary to this and we try to do something different, like for example be male and male or female and female, we're missing the goal, we're missing the mark, we're missing the intended purpose for which the thing has been made for. Thus, the reason why we understand that even if we did not have any textual information about homosexuality, we will know that it is a sin because it's against the purpose. It misses the mark. Does that make sense? So now let's see the passages in the scriptures when it speaks of same-sex relationship being a sin. So we're going to Leviticus or Vayikra chapter 18 verse 22. Thou shalt not lie with a mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. Very simple, maybe. Might be complicated. Let's go. Leviticus chapter 20 verse 13. If a man lies with a mankind as he lieth with woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. So now it's very much explained and much detailed. There's even a sentence for doing such things in the Torah. So it's very easy to understand that the people in the scriptures were not really with this sort of behaviors. You know? And please don't gaslight me and say, oh, well, why are you out here killing people if you're keeping the Torah or whatever? You don't just get up and kill people. To be able to kill anybody, you need to establish truth, and you need the counsel of the elders. That's one. And not the nonsense that these Hebrew Israelite camps have today. Talk about real elders. Yeah. Now, two, you need to have evidence that the person have done it. You need 3 witnesses, or at least 2 witnesses. So you can't just get up and kill people. If that's the case, people will do it. But if you just get up and kill people, you actually going against Torah. Because there's things to conduct before you want to kill people. So, if anybody's trying to gaslight me right now, this is not what I'm teaching. That's one. So, you know, for people that don't know their Torah out there, just don't take things out of context. Okay, so now we're going to deep into the language to see if it's really saying what it's saying, because according to Mr. LGBTQ, just excuse me, TruthUnveiled, but you know, anyway, this verse is not talking about homosexuality when it seems to be talking about homosexuality in the English, but it's seen in the Hebrew. Here we go. So Leviticus chapter 20 verse 13. Click in the Hebrew, and right here, yeah, as you can see, amen, ish, yeah, with a man as he lies, Zakar with a male, basically, have committed abomination. It's clear from the Hebrew. You know, once again, we click on the word ish, man. Go back. Right here, lie. Lay down, up. Ishkab. Place of lying. Yeah. Okay. We go back. Zakar. A man, boy, male 56 times. Zakar also means remember sometimes. But right here, in this context, it means male. And then the abomination bit. Boom. Toeba, abomination, abominable. Yeah. Here you go, right here. Detestable things. So it's clear that the word of Most High is against it. In the Hebrew and even in English. And we went over also the fact that from creation the purpose was that men should not be alone. That's why the Most High made the woman. So, Mr. Lies and Veils, you are wrong. You're wrong. And your teaching lies. It's clearly a sin. Because it misses the mark. Or the attempted purpose, the attempted goal. It's very simple. And I want to read that one as well. Deuteronomy chapter 23 verse 17, or Devarim chapter 22 verse 17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. But this verse is not talking about homosexuality right here. Yes, this verse is talking about fornication or prostitution. I repeat, this verse is not talking about homosexuality, because you're reading here sodomite. In the Hebrew, this is not the word used. And here we go, Deuteronomy chapter 23 verse 17, right here. Yeah. You see the word harlot. And then the sons, perverse one. It's not sodomite. It's perverse one. And you click this on it. It's Kadesh. Sacred prostitute. Called prostitute. Male called prostitute. Make sense? Temple prostitute. This verse is about fornication and prostitution. Not about homosexuality. So please, people, do not use that when you're talking to people that, ask this question of if homosexuality is against the Bible or whatever. Do not use that against or for, I don't know. Do not use this verse. This verse is talking about fornication. And I got to show the reality and the truth. I can't just jump to the conclusion and new stuff because someone told me to. No. Alright. So now, since this man dislike Paul, we're going to use Paul because down here, Paul is an authority. Yeah? Okay. Everyone, Romans chapter 1, 1 verse 21 to 27. You feel the deal. Because that when they knew Alua, they glorified him not as Alua, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination, and their foolish heart was darkened. Basically what's happening to Mr. Lies and Veils 777, trying to say that homosexuality is somehow condoned in the Bible. Is foolish. 22. Professing themselves to be wise, they become fools. And changed the glory of the incorruptible Alua into an image made like to corruptible men, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. So now let's talk about the idolatry of people. Let's continue. Wherefore, Alua also gave them up to uncleanness, to the lust of their own heart, to dishonor their own body between themselves. So he's saying that there's a sexual sin that they're doing. Let's continue. Who changed the truth of Alua into a lie, and worship and served the creatures more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause, Alua gave them up unto vile affections. For even the woman did change their natural use into that which is against nature. So now he's saying, look, there was a law in the Torah about what nature is supposed to be. Remember? According to their own kind and all that stuff. Because these people are unbelievers, in a sense, or sinners, like willingly sinners, full-blown, they don't even want to change. And the Most High gives them up to their own imagination. Because they're fool, they're going to do foolish stuff. And some of this foolish stuff is doing things that are not natural, that are unnatural. Alright, 27. And likewise also the man, leaving the natural use of the woman, you see, just like we saw that the Most High made the woman for the men, okay, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of the error which was meet. You see? Because basically now, when they're going to continue that sin, they're going to think that this sin is natural, this nature. So this is why Truth Unveiled is here trying to tell people that this is natural. Because he's under that spell. The recompense for the sin that he's in. So in conclusion, he's a false prophet, a false teacher, and doesn't even know the Torah. That's why he can come up with this kind of nonsense, which is not truth. A little bit of common sense, anyone knows that the Bible is against same-sex marriage. I shouldn't have done the video at all. But we're in the last days, and people want to be teachers, false prophet, and you will increase. And people are showing true colors. People saying Mashiach is not Yahweh Mashiach, and all these kind of things. We're not the Israelite, but at first they were preaching that we're the Israelite, and all this kind of stuff. So, it's very simple. We're going to continue to defend the truth in the Most High's name. Anyway, so 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 15 to 17. An account that the long suffering of our Adon is salvation, even as our beloved brother Shaul or Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him, hath written unto you. As also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable rest, as they do also to the other scriptures unto their own destruction. So it's the same thing with Mr. LGBTQ777. He doesn't know the Torah. He doesn't know. So obviously it's gonna just, misconstrue things because he doesn't even understand. And a lot of y'all out here should not make yourself teacher. If you do not know certain things, you do not speak on certain things. There's a lot of subjects that I could be taking on. Revelations and all that stuff. But it's not that I do not know. I'm not certain on it. So I'm studying harder and harder and harder. More and more, so I can give the accurate things to my audience. And not lead you guys astray. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's continue. Yea, therefore, beloved, seeing ye know these things before, beware lest ye also be led away with the error of the wicked, fall from your own steadfastness. So basically saying we're going to lose your opportunity to be saved. Basically, do not lose them because of people that are ignorant and want to be out here teaching the word of the Most High when they don't even know what it is. And that's one thing. Let's continue. Deuteronomy chapter 13, 1 verse 1 through 4. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign and a wonder, and a sign and a wonder come to pass, whereof he speak unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken to the words of the prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahuwah proveth you to know where ye love Yahuwah with all your heart and with all your soul. And ye shall walk with Yahuwah and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. So basically, this Deuteronomy 13 is a test. Basically, it's to know who loves the Most High. So when we have this false prophet out here teaching things, to our people, Our people should be alarmed because people should understand and know the Most High's character. Know that Torah anyway in the first place. It's the same concept. Whether you have a dream or whatever, but all of this stuff comes from the Most High. The word of the Most High preaching, that's the same thing. So it's like a test. So if you fall into the trap of this false prophet, then realistically you're not really with the Most High. So if you believed any word of what this man said, Mr. Truth Unveiled, when he made this video about homosexuality, truth, and stuff like that, you were misled, and this is not true. Let's continue. 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 1. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, and shall bring a damnable heresy, even denying the Adon that brought them, and bring up on themselves swift destructions. See? So there's supposed to be false prophet among us anyway. So it's not something new and then be surprised. Matthew 7 verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are raven wolves. So be careful, y'all, there when people are teaching you. Some doctrines that you've been exposed to are not true. So it's not only that one, there's millions out there. One thing I like to say is this: if it does not follow the Moses character, if it's not in your Torah, then stay away from it. Nothing is new under the sun. Nothing is new in the script. That's all I'm saying. And in conclusion, we just saw that Mr. Truth Unveiled is not right and is wrong, and he lied, because the scriptures does speak against same-sex relationship, and it is a sin. Now, I just want to have a little discussion with any of you that may have been indoctrinated by this false doctrine that he just made up, literally. Or that identify yourself as, an homosexual, lesbian, or part of LGBT. And it's this. Yes, this lifestyle is against the word of the Most High. Yes. But if you're a believer and you're struggling with such things, remember that we have the Most High with us, and that we're servants of Yahusha. Just remember that Yahusha died for your sin, so then you can be forgiven. So that should give you strength, because he endured worse than you. If you see it if you see it as a burden unto you, And with any sin, there's always a way to not sin, to not do that thing. There's always hope. You serve a living creator, so there's always hope for you. I really want to stress that on you. And you don't have to be that person that way. And your sexuality, I'm afraid, does not define your personhood. And no, you was not born that way. You choose this behavior, I'm afraid. So, yes, it's a messed up world, chaotic, under sin. But our mission as believers is what? To stay away from sin. That's why we have a mediator, which is Yahushua Mashiach, or what people call Jesus Christ. And once again, you're not forced to be that way. You can overcome sin. We're told in the script that we new creatures when we in Yahushua Mashiach. When we're in Jesus Christ, we're new creatures. So behold, all things are new. So the behavior that you had before, when you come into the truth of Yahushua Mashiach, to the Bashura, to the truth of the gospel, you're no longer that person. You're transformed, you're changed. So you can be able to overcome desires, whatever they are. Not necessarily only just because you have a desire for the same sex, but even if you had a desire for the opposite sex, and then this is not, the way where we're supposed to live our life. For example, sex before marriage, fornication, or even cheating on your spouse and stuff like that. These kind of things are also sins. And there's a way to combat it. Let me give you an advice. The same thing goes for every sin. There's a cure for every sin, so the same thing goes for them. The way I deal with my sin is this. I rationalize the reason why I shouldn't do it. I don't persuade myself to not do it. I rationalize the reason why I should not do the sin. Because if you persuade yourself time after time, and one day you will eventually, give it up. Because who wants to live a life where you need to tell yourself every time, I shouldn't. No. No one wants to live life in prison. But on the flip side of that, if you was to live your life and just feed your flesh or feed your desire, you're also imprisoned. Can you imagine everything I want to do in anything, I just do it? So you're slave to your desires. That's why we bring our thoughts captive, but unto Yahusha, unto the Most High. Does that make sense? So when I'm saying I rationalize my sin, not in a sense where I tell myself, yeah, it's okay. But in a sense where I tell myself, no, it's not okay. And then the purpose for which I'm here, it's not for me to do so. There's a better purpose. Am I made to do such things? Is it worth it? Would it change anything to my day if I don't do it or if I do it? These thoughts, are they natural? Or are they the thoughts that the Most High wants me to have as a created being in His image? Remember, what is the Most High's character as well? Because you made in His image. So what is His character? Ain't purity one of His main thing? Ain't it? We should be pure. So why would you want to be unclean? And mercy, one of His thing. And justice, what is just? And self-control, one of the fruit of the Spirit. You should be able to control yourself. Does that make sense? You should be able to control your desire. I have desire, I'm a human. But I understand that my desires are meant for a purpose. And that's why I have a wife. So when I desire things, then marriage is a bit undefiled. So I think where the problem lies is, where are your desires directed to? And what to do with them. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy road. And for those who don't know, yes, I have worked with people that are so-called LGBT, homosexual, or whatever you want to call it. I have preached. You may be watching the video now. I've spent nights and gone through the reason why you shouldn't have such behavior with such persons. Real life. had night discussion and trying to make the person understand, going through prayers and all that stuff. Because people forget, they think it's only prayers, but it's also using your reason. It's an embodiment of things. Hence why I did the video. It's to help you. Now, if you think that no, you want to stay like this, then I don't know why you're watching the video in the first place. Maybe you just want to criticize me. But if you intrinsically and with your heart and your soul know that such behavior is wrong, then you should not do it. And not only you should not do it, but you should be renewed and transform yourself with the power of the Bashura, the power of the gospel, the power that has been given unto us as servants of the Most High. We can overcome sin with our mediator, Yahushua Mashiach. So these are a few words I wanted to tell to whoever's watching this video and struggling with same-sex attraction and stuff like that. If I can give you advice. And if you need any help, feel free to send me an email. Same name as the YouTube channel, gmail.com. And I hope this lesson has been a blessing. I hope it has enlightened you. There's more to come. And I'll close with a shalom, everyone.